So, how's it going? It has been a while, but I have some super exciting stuff to share. So if you're watching this video just as it went live, a gameplay trailer has dropped for a new and upcoming racing game called Clutch. Clutch is the debut game of the new studio called Maverick Games, which is headed by Mike Brown, who you may remember from Playground Games, who basically left Playground to build his own studio. And they were kind enough to invite this goofy goober to be at the studio and be one of the first people to check out the game. In case you missed the gameplay reveal, I'll give you like a quick rundown of what this game is actually about and why I am so excited about it. In essence, it's basically a racing game that blends legal racing on public roads with underground racing type stuff and heist missions with police. So you can think of this as a wild mix between something like Gran Turismo with Need for Speed and the occasional Fast and Furious type mission thrown in. And what I love about this game so much, and what I loved so much about my time with it, is that they included so many things in this game that people have been waiting for so long. Like, it blew my mind, honestly. I can't share all of them yet, but just to kind of like already spoil you with one of these things, it's interior customization. I genuinely don't remember the last time I saw proper interior customization in a game like this. It feels like so long ago. And overall, as you can see, I was left feeling very positive about the game, and I only played like the first hour and then like another half hour of just doing like time trialing. But generally, there's so much about this game that I was able to appreciate that it just made me think like, why hasn't anyone done this sooner? You know? But obviously, the most important thing is the handling, and I can't share gameplay of my time with the game yet. That will come at a later point, so you're just gonna have to take my word for it. But personally, to me, the handling felt pretty good. The cars are all very nimble, a little bit more nimble than you might expect. Actually, you'd be kind of surprised. And they're also really quick around corners, and the brakes are also pretty strong. But it still requires a certain finesse. Like, I wouldn't call this game an arcade racer, I don't think. Like, the cars can still lose grip believably, and there's still some very believable physics at play. And if you do lose grip and you are in a drift, it does actually require some finesse to keep the car under control. Some like throttle control, some steering. It was pretty satisfying to nail, actually. The developers themselves labeled the handling model as Simcade. I personally think that doesn't really say much because Simcade is like a really broad term. The way I would describe it is it kind of has like the grip and the ease of use, so to say, of a Need for Speed with some of the depth of a Forza. Is kind of like the best way I would describe it. And moving on from the handling, I want to quickly also talk about the car list. You could already see a handful of cars in the trailer. Some of them genuinely had me like, you know, basically. But what you saw is really like only a tiny speck, like just a small window of the car list, which I genuinely think is such a treat. There's unironically something for everyone, and if you know my taste in like cars and the kind of cars that I like to drive in racing games, I was very happy with it, okay? I was very happy with the car list from what I could see. And the best cars, genuinely, are still yet to come. They didn't even show off in my opinion, like most fun and interesting cars yet. So I definitely encourage you to stick around and stay in the loop with this game just to see the absolutely bonkers car list, because it's such a treat. And what I also liked in particular about the cars, aside from like the car list itself, are the cars and how they are depicted in the game. And this game does something very special that I haven't really seen another game really replicate like this before. So basically, in a lot of racing games, the cars are basically museum quality. So if you drive like a car in a Gran Turismo or a Need for Speed, it really doesn't matter what game, it can be any game. The cars are basically always in 100% pristine condition. So they are spotless, flawless. It looks like they've never been driven before, basically. And what I find so fascinating about Clutch is that they added very visible wear and tear on the cars. So you can see that the paint is just kind of starting to like degrade. You can see that there's like some scratches on the wheels or on stuff in the interior. You can see that the seats have been worn, like, you know, the where your back is usually. It looks very worn. And this is what cars look like in real life. This is like if you go into like a used car dealer, or you check out a used car, or you maybe have a car of your own. That is stuff you see. But no racing game has really ever replicated this to a degree where it feels believable. And Clutch, I think it might be the first game that does that, which I appreciate a ton. Now, other than staring at the cars and admiring the details, you can also customize them. So the game does have customization options, and it is actually a lot more than you think. So customization options include spec options as well as aftermarket parts, but also you can add underglow to the car, which I think is also super nice. I haven't really seen games other than Need for Speed attempt this, so it's definitely nice to see. But the highlight for me, which I already spoiled earlier, is the interior customization. And it also just once again helps to make these cars feel so much more believable and less like they've just been copied and driven out of a museum. So you can add stuff like a Red Bull can, basically, to the interior, which, you know, it's fun stuff like this that I think really makes these cars feel like they're your own and feel like that you've actually used them and you lived in them, you know? There's probably going to be more on the customization at a later point, but yeah, just to give you like a small glimpse of the kind of stuff you can do, I was already really happy with it. Now, what makes Clutch so special, and this maybe hasn't really been really shown in the gameplay reveal that you've seen, is that Clutch has a heavy focus on its story, and the story is basically driving the entire game forwards. In fact, they feature real-world actors to be basically the main cast of the game, which will also get revealed at a later point. But still, there's like plenty of side content, so don't be afraid that this is like a 4-hour game where you finish the story and then that's that. There's still like plenty of side content to do outside of the story as well. Basically, the story of Clutch is about a pair of sibling drivers racing in the R1K, which is short for the Riviera 1000, which basically in the game is an official racing series. And on the opposite side of the R1K, you have the Midnight Collective, which is basically an organization running the underground street racing scene. And you playing as the main protagonist of the game, you're basically thrown in between these two sides, and things eventually escalate pretty hard with intense pursuits and heists that you've also seen in the trailer as well. And as part of that trailer, a car firing off a harpoon was shown off. And I just want to highlight that this is not like some scripted event that you just kind of do in this mission and then never again. The harpoon is an actual gameplay mechanic as a part of a feature or mechanic called Clutch Tech. And Clutch Tech basically allows you to interact with the environment and move your car in really interesting ways, because you can interact with anything, basically. So with the harpoon, for example, what happens if you fire it off at another car? What happens if you fire it off at a ceiling? What happens if you fire it off at a stack of crates? That's basically all up to you to figure out and experiment with. And I should also mention that the harpoon is just one of many tools that you have at your disposal in the form of Clutch Tech. That kind of wraps up everything that they've shown with the gameplay and that we are also allowed to talk about and elaborate on. You will definitely get more info on the game very, very soon. In fact, at Summer Games Fest, they are planning to show off another trailer for the game. And as creators, including myself, we have some straight up gameplay for you ready on the 10th this month, that I will also upload on my main channel with like a fully featured analysis and some more thoughts. So if you haven't subscribed to my main channel yet, definitely make sure to go ahead and give it a sub. And yeah, that kind of covers everything that I wanted to share about the game so far. Once again, more info coming later. But I also want to spend the rest of the video just talking about my day at the studio at Maverick Games, because genuinely I had such a good time that I just kind of wanted to share some of it. So on the day of the studio visit, we initially didn't even visit the studio itself, but instead we were dropped off at Adrenaline Collective, which, if you don't know, is basically a used car dealer for sports and supercars. And as we were there, we basically first got to look around and check out some of the awesome cars on offer. They had like one rally Subaru, which I thought looked super sick in person, and also a fully decked out Mini, which yeah, was also just really fun to look at. And then eventually, after some time, after some chit-chat, we were basically told to pick one of the handful of cars that they had sitting around. And I just chose the Aston Martin DB11 that was standing there because I figured, well, I'm already in the UK, so might as well go all the way. And then we met some employees from, I think it was actually the Adrenaline Collective, who then actually took us on a ride to the studio, which was super fun. It was actually the first time I sat in a car this fast. I don't think I ever sat in a car this fast and that expensive. And the guy was like, he was given a beans, okay? And it was a lot of fun. Like, usually I'm not even a huge fan of Aston Martins. Like, I always thought they were fine, but that kind of sold me. Like, after that point, I was like, yeah, okay, I get it now. I get why people like these cars. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, eventually we arrived at the studio, and basically, as soon as you enter Maverick Games, the studio, there's a Shelby Cobra hanging from the second floor, which they basically attach with a bunch of cables, which was like a small jump scare as soon as you get in. They also had another, I think it was an MRS that was parked somewhere on the first floor with like a custom wrap on it, which looked super nice. But who cares about these cars when they had the absolute highlight of the show, which was a Fiat Multiplier that was standing in the middle of the hallway. And if you have missed the entire Multiplier lore, basically they set up a 24/7 live stream about like 2 weeks before they revealed the game, where they basically had 2 cameras constantly pointed at the car, one from outside and one from the inside, basically filming or recording a countdown. And during this 24/7 live stream, there were a bunch of shenanigans. So I think at some point they cleaned the car because it was basically full of mold from the inside. Eventually they transported it into the studio, and then we, content creators, basically vandalized it. So yeah, it was like a whole saga. And it's just... that car probably has like more lore than... I don't know, man. And yeah, then after a while of just kind of like looking around and chatting a bit, we were then shown a cinematic trailer that you have not seen yet, that you will have to just kind of still wait a little bit longer for. And then after that, we finally got to actually get our hands on with the game, and we were basically allowed to play through the first hour of the game, so throughout the introduction and everything, which you will not see yet either. Like, when we share our gameplay, you will basically see a snippet from like near the end of that hour, basically. And we basically all got to play the game with the supervision of a developer. In my case, it was Susie from QA, who, by the way, had the best looking office. I just want to point that out. And yeah, I already talked about my experience with the game earlier. Once again, you will see the gameplay footage, or at least some of the gameplay footage, where we'll go a little bit more in depth with the game at a later point on the 10th on my main channel. But yeah, once we were done, we got to take a look around the second floor, which was basically the dev floor where most of the developers were actually working on the game. And various developers then showed off parts of the game, whatever they worked on, including a full tour of the map, which is insane. Like, I don't want to hype this up too much, and you will see it at a later point anyways, but the map is ridiculous. It's just, I can't wait to share more about the map and for you to see it. It is like... wow. Like, I remember asking the developer how long they worked on it, and when I was told that they worked on it for 2.5 years, I was like, only? You got this done in only 2.5 years? It kind of blew my mind that they managed to build all of this from essentially scratch. Yeah, definitely an absolute highlight there. And then later, once everyone got their hands on with the game, we then all competed in a time trial competition. So all of us creators, we were basically racing on the same track and tried to get the fastest time. And I got second place, which, you know what? I'll take. It's actually much better than I thought. And then lastly, before we were let go, we were gifted some awesome goodies from the studio, which, you know what? I guess I can show off. So it all basically came in this like box with this is a sticker, this is not a sticker. I thought this was a sticker. This is actually a magnet. And there is also another magnet right up here. And you have an air refreshener here with the R1K logo. As I talked about earlier, this is the you know, official racing league in the game. A scale model of a, actually I'm not sure which Porsche this is. It's usually a 911 from the Porsche Museum, which is nice. A VIP badge of sorts that is actually custom tailored and custom made for me. You can see it has my name on it. And I think honestly, genuinely, like everyone had like a different photo for this one, like a different screenshot. I think I got the best one. A bunch of stickers. This is Turbo Boy, by the way. You'll have to find out later what this like pixel mascot is about. Some poker chips with like various logos on it, like the Clutch logo as well as the Maverick Games logo. A Maverick Games logo pin, which I think also looks super sweet. The thing that confuses me about this is I never really know like which way is the right way up. A super sweet handwritten card by the community manager James. And then this awesome double-sided t-shirt Yellow is my favorite color, actually, so I'll definitely be wearing this a lot. Thank you. So needless to say, I had an absolute blast at Maverick Games, and I'm super, super grateful that they chose to invite me. So yeah, once again, if anyone's watching from the studio, thank you so much for having me. It's genuinely an honor. And I hope it really comes across from like all the videos that I've shared here as well from the studio visit that it's such an awesome studio with even more awesome people. You could just really feel the passion that these guys are pouring into this project, and I genuinely think that it shows when you actually play the game. So yeah, I think that about covers it. I'm super, super excited to see more of the game, and I hope you are too. Once again, just to recap, there's going to be a new trailer at Summer Games Fest, so make sure to tune in there. And we are also allowed to share our own gameplay, and I will go in depth with what I have recorded from my side on the 10th this month, so only in like a little bit more than a week from now. So make sure to subscribe to the main channel if you haven't already. And yeah, that's about it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're excited for more. Until then, take care, take it easy, and as always, peace. See you guys.